Good morning. I'm Karl Keith, the Montgomery County Auditor. I'd like to welcome you all here to the County Administration Building this morning. Appreciate your joining us. I have a statement to read, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So for the past several months, the Montgomery County Auditor's Office has been working to determine the loss of property value as a result of the Memorial Day tornadoes. We are here this morning to report both the results of that work and the estimated impact the loss of value will have on local communities and taxing authorities. Property owners whose properties were damaged or destroyed by the storms on May 27th of this year are entitled to a reduction in their property value, depending on the severity of the damage. After a rather extensive public outreach campaign conducted by my office this past summer, we received a total of 1,268 damaged or destroyed property value reduction applications. The value reduction applications were submitted by property owners in 11 different jurisdictions in Montgomery County located along the path of the Memorial Day storm. This included 4 townships: Butler, Clay, Harrison, and Perry, and 7 cities: Brookville, Clayton, Dayton, Englewood, Riverside, Trotwood, and Vandalia. The greatest number of applications were submitted by property owners from the city of Trotwood, followed by property owners in Harrison Township. We received 418 applications from Trotwood and 401 applications from Harrison Township. Together, the applications from the city of Trotwood and Harrison Township make up roughly 2/3 of the total number of applications we received. These applications were processed by my office, and appraisers from our appraisal contractors used before and after aerial and street level images, as well as on-site reviews in the field to assess and to make a determination regarding the amount of property damage in each case. We have determined the total loss of property value for these 1,268 applicants to be approximately $46.3 million. This reduction in value will be effective for tax year 2019 for taxes payable in 2020. This means those properties where we have determined some reduction in value will also see a reduction in their property tax bill next year. At this time, my office estimates the total countywide reduction in property tax revenue as a result of the loss of property value from the tornadoes to be $1.7 million. The $1.7 million loss of local tax dollars will be spread across a number of taxing authorities. As the primary recipients of local tax dollars, a number of local school districts will suffer the most in terms of lost revenue. In total, schools will lose more than $900,000, more than half the total countywide revenue loss. Trotwood Madison local schools are expected to lose more than $320,000. Dayton Public Schools will lose more than $248,000. And Northridge local schools will lose more than $121,000. The results we are reporting today involve reductions in real property value only and are estimates at this time. We will finalize these results once the county's tax value abstract is approved by the Ohio Department of Taxation and final tax rates are certified. We expect to receive approval of our abstract in early December and to receive final tax rates for every jurisdiction in the county before the end of the year. We do not expect the final results to change significantly from the estimates we are reporting today. Property owners who submitted damaged and destroyed property valuation reduction applications with our office will receive written notification this week regarding our determination of any reduction in their property value that will affect their taxes payable in 2020. Those notices will be going in the mail probably later today. This effort has been difficult and demanding. The devastation we have seen is shocking and heartbreaking. The results we are reporting today represent tragic losses to homeowners and their families, to business owners and their employees, and to the entire community. Losses from the Memorial Day tornadoes have long-term implications, and the results we are reporting today are only the initial measure of the impact of the storms on property values. We expect to report additional significant losses of value when we finalize the countywide property revaluation, which is scheduled to be completed in 2020. As we move forward, my office will continue to make every effort to ensure property owners impacted by the Memorial Day storms are treated fairly. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Auditor Keith, is there any room for this for individuals who may not have filled out that form just yet, and would you expect this to actually increase when that does happen?
There are probably hundreds of property owners who would be eligible to receive a reduction in their value that did not complete the application form for whatever reason, and there could be a wide variety of reasons. So there are probably hundreds that could receive a reduction in value. As we move into next year to the 2020 revaluation, we will adjust those values. As part of the revaluation, they don't need to apply. So as part of the revaluation, we will pick up the reductions in value for property owners, both for these who have applied and for others, and how it has impacted the community. They can apply, but they still can apply, and we can make adjustments if need be.
And my only other question is, will the federal government pick up some of this?
I don't think the federal government will pick up any of the tax revenue loss. I doubt that would be a possibility. Some of the expense that we have incurred in processing these forms and doing the additional work that we had to do this year, we have submitted that to FEMA and are hoping that we could be reimbursed for some of the costs that we've incurred.
So presumably, some of these properties will be repaired over the years, rebuilt, and the values, you would assume, would increase as well. So are you still anticipating a loss for the next several years for that base to go down even more? And then if it rebounds, when do you expect it to rebound?
So ongoing, as people do repairs or rebuild or renovate and go through that process, we will pick those up on an annual basis, part of our new construction process, which we do every year. And so we anticipate that we'll pick up some of this value as time goes on. Some of these values that have been reduced, some of these properties have been reduced, have been repaired since, and we've taken note of that. They're still eligible for a reduction for tax year 2019. But we'll pick those up as new construction then in 2020. And so there's going to be a give and take of this for a long time. But anybody, I think, who's been out in the community has seen and knows that there are a large number of properties that still remain devastated. And some of the properties we were in the area of Trotwood a few weeks ago, and some of the properties there basically appear the same as they appeared the day after the storm. So I think this is a long-term, it's going to have a long-term impact, not only for those properties, but for the surrounding properties as well. I think it's going to have an impact on property values as a whole in some of these communities, just because of the devastation and the abandonment that I think will occur in some of these communities.
So, but again, looking forward, take Trotwood City Schools, for instance. When can they expect to see that revenue climb back up?
Well, these losses that we're reporting today are permanent losses. Those tax dollars don't come back. The only way they come back is in the terms of new construction. So as time goes on, as homes are rebuilt or redeveloped, or they see other forms of new construction in their community, that's the only way they can get these tax dollars back. Now, one piece that's still unknown at this point is, the housing market has been booming. Before May 27th, the housing market, we were looking at record sales and price jumps throughout the housing market, throughout the county. And as we're looking at that going forward to the 2020 reval, we were expecting to see values increase as a whole next year. It's too early to determine exactly what that's going to look like. But as a result of new construction and increased market values in general, and also an increase in public utility values throughout the county, a lot of these jurisdictions, rather than seeing a total loss of these dollars, they will see it's going to be a net. They'll have some net effects, and they'll be able to recoup some of this lost money. But it's still a loss. It's a loss, and it's a loss that they won't regain until the homes are rebuilt or the properties are redeveloped.
How difficult is it to assess damage when you have construction constantly going on?
It is difficult. The map you see here that we went through early on. My staff did part of the work that we did here in development of this map was using aerial images that we had both before and after the storm. We had aerial images that we had taken in anticipation of next year's reval that were taken in March of this year. And then we we had the area of the tornado reflown after the tornado, so in the first week of June. So we had aerial images of these properties from both before in March and then immediately after the storm. So we were able to use those to determine some issues that were impacted. And then as they have rebuilt, and we've been in the field and they file building permits or what have you, we've been able to monitor that. So it's been difficult. Some of them are I hate to use the term easier, but some of them are easier than others. The ones that were completely and totally destroyed, and there were hundreds of those, it was easy to determine that they were destroyed. Some of that has changed over time. A lot of property owners, I've talked with property owners who thought their home was okay and had started work on reconstruction of certain areas of the house, only to learn that the house had shifted on its foundation and actually is totally destroyed. So it's been an ongoing thing, up and down, different changes. So it's been difficult, no doubt about it.
Mr. Keith, can you remind everybody briefly why the county stepped up and decided to help homeowners in this situation?
Well, we thought it was the right thing to do. We didn't think it was fair for anyone who had, their property had been severely damaged or destroyed to pay a full tax bill, and they're not supposed to. They're entitled to this reduction. Again, we will pick up the effect of this storm during the 2020 reval. But before that, the only way we could reduce their value is they had to apply for it, and that application had to be received by us, and we had to make a determination. So that is why we did pretty extensive public outreach campaign throughout the summer, trying to reach as many of these people as we could. We're happy that we were able to get more than 1,200 applications in. That's the damaged and destroyed property application program is available every year, and we have people who take advantage of it every year. Typically it's because of a fire or something like that in their home, but that could be a dozen applications during the course of the year, 20 or something. So to get 1,200 was quite an enormous process to work our way through those and to deal with it. But again, we thought it was the right thing to do and the fair thing to do. They shouldn't have to pay a full tax bill for property that's been severely damaged. Yes?
Does your office have any idea how many properties were uninsured or public, either home as a whole or private businesses?
We do not. A lot of the application forms that were filed with us, the application form itself is one that's dictated by the state of Ohio. And one of the questions on the form is what kind of insurance claim that you've made on the property, and sometimes property owners would indicate an amount in there, but a lot of times, again, depending on where they were in that whole process, a lot of times it was unknown or zero, so it was not very reliable data, to be honest with you. So we do not know, and I think it's important to keep in mind that the results we're showing today or reporting today are for real property value only. So it doesn't include personal property or damage to vehicles or property inside the home. the loss of property inside the home. It doesn't include those types of claims that might be part of an insurance claim.
You may have said this earlier, we were a little late. What kind of impact is the tax revenue going to have on this?
So it's going to have about $1.7 million is what we're estimating overall, and now that $1.7 million is going to be spread out along a variety of taxing districts. Most of the lost revenue will impact local schools. About $900,000 of that $1.7 million will impact local schools, Trotwood local schools, Northridge local schools being the primary ones that will be impacted, and Dayton schools as well.
Mr. Keith, is there a number of residents whose homes were obliterated and decided not to even rebuild and just move out? Do you have those numbers, or will it show up?
I do not have those types of numbers. We've certainly heard those stories, and we've certainly heard, anecdotally those types of things, but I don't have those numbers.
About how many properties have major damage? Have you been able to figure that out?
I think from our initial review, we had about 900 that we had indicated were either totally destroyed or had major damage. And that was a result of again, looking at aerial photographs both before and after. We had staff members from my office who went through and we actually looked at 14,000, made a survey of 14,000 properties that were along this route, along the path of the tornado, and did a before and after look, and from that, made a determination of whether it was major damage, moderate damage, minor damage. The major damage ones really stuck out. Again, so you're talking about places that were either totally destroyed or had been major destroyed, and that could really stuck out from an aerial photograph. So about 900.
About how many businesses are all these?
Most of this was commercial property. I don't remember exactly, but I'm going to say maybe 100 businesses, 150 businesses. So most of the damage has been to commercial property. I mean, to residential property. I'm sorry, to residential property.
Will those businesses be coming back, or are they gone?
I have no idea at this point. And I mean, some of the commercial property owners did not file application with us for whatever reason. But I don't know what their plans are.
Mr. Keith, can you talk about how difficult of a project this was, not only for you and your staff, but I know because I was affected in it myself, but how hard they're working for the community. Can you talk about your staff for a moment?
I'm really proud of my staff. So we had 17 people in our office that stepped up and got involved in this project. Some of them don't normally do real estate related work. But a number of them said, I want to be involved, I want to help, and so a number of them stepped up and got involved in this project. So we had 17 that were going back and doing the reviews. But then we did a lot of work out in the field, and we had staff that worked evenings and weekends at different locations around trying to make ourselves accessible. Appreciate Dayton Public Libraries for allowing us to use space in their facilities around the tornado site. So yeah, it was a difficult time. Everyone stepped up. I also wanted to talk about our appraisal contractors. We had we had two different appraisal contractors that were doing work here, both Tyler Technologies and Lexer Appraisal. And normally these guys are competitors, but they were both involved in this project. They both stepped up and worked cooperatively with one another, recognizing that this was an important thing for the community, that it be done timely and accurately, and so I appreciate everyone that was involved. My GIS department, the development of this map, did incredible work, and really, this map has been served a lot of purposes, not only directing our work, it's directing some work in the local news media. Members of the local news media have been following this path, and so it's had a variety of uses, and most recently, we submitted it for a competition in the Ohio GIS conference this year, and it was voted best of show and took out first place honors in the analytical map category. So we're very proud of them and the work that they did, and it really shows the use of and the power and the use of this GIS technology.
You said Trotwood Schools is the most affected, $900,000 loss. What does that mean for the schools? Could they expect cuts? What should parents know?
So it's a $900,000 loss to schools total, to all schools. So in Trotwood, we're looking at about a $320,000 loss, so I don't want to overstate it. So it's about a $300,000 loss. I spoke with officials from Trotwood, both the school treasurer and the superintendent. I think the finance officials in these communities recognized that this was going to be an issue and had made some estimates on their own as to what they thought the impact would be. When I spoke to the treasurer, she had made some estimates and reduced some of her revenue estimates going forward. And so she was pretty much in line where we are. So I think they knew that this was coming. Again, if you're out in the community, you can see the devastation in both Trotwood and Harrison Township. Brookville is pretty obvious, North Dayton still. And so they knew that, and they made some adjustments.
I think the last time we were here for one of these property damage surveys, you said that the next step was going to be having people on the ground taking a look. Can we talk about how that played into this?
So this is the result of that. So once we got people started sending us these applications to have their value reduced, that's when we sent appraisers on the ground and to do on-site reviews in these areas. Now, some of them, again, the properties that were completely and totally destroyed may not require an on-the-ground review, but that's when we sent appraisers out in the field, and this is the results, the final results of their work in the field. Yes, ma'am.
And your applications are mainly for residents, but for those school districts and businesses, are there things that they can apply for to reduce how much they're going to have to worry about next year?
So this reduction is available to any property owner. So we did have commercial property owners who applied to have their values reduced. And so some of this is reflected in what we've reported today. But again, primarily the damage that we saw, the damage that the community saw, was primarily to residential property owners.
Do you actually have a percentage kind of breakdown of the 1.7 million, though, how much was commercial and how much residential?
I don't have that with me, but we can get that for you.
Do you have a list of schools that are all affected by this?
Yes, we do, and we have that available here with us today. What we've distributed today shows all of the communities and the taxing authorities that are impacted. It shows you the number of applications we received, and each one of those, the value that's been reduced, and the corresponding tax dollars have been reduced. Keep in mind that when you're looking at that data, that it doesn't add up. Because you have overlapping jurisdictions here. So, for instance, Dayton Public Schools may be in a variety of different cities, and so some of those numbers don't add up. But the amount of value that each of those jurisdictions is losing is a real number, and the amount of revenue that they're each losing is a real number.
And these tax breaks, is that going to be continuous year after year? I mean, this obviously isn't going to be. Everything's not going to be fixed in a year. Right,
and if they've lost value, that value is going to stay lost until they rebuild. Do they rebuild or remodel or renovate or whatever they need to do? So yeah, they'll continue to receive the reduction in value as long as the property is destroyed or damaged.
If someone wants more information about the Montgomery County tornado damaged properties, is there a website with Montgomery County they can go to for more information?
Well, they can certainly go to our website at mcauditor.org or also at mcrealestate.org as information. They can also call our office at 937-225-4326. 937-225-4326.
And the application's still on there?
There are applications still available. This program is available every year. Again, sometimes people unfortunately have damage to their property as a result of fire or other causes, and so anytime they've had severe damage or problems with their property, they can apply to have that value reduced, and we encourage them to do that.
There's no deadline or anything?
No.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.